Hey, everybody. Welcome to Forgetting Walls. I'm Keith.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Jack.
I'm Andy.
And we got a full house for you today.
All right.
Oh, my gosh. 4 dudes, 1 podcast.
Oh, God. We're going to need to get Kelsey in here again soon.
She might not last through this one.
Oh, no.
That doesn't bode well.
Hey, everybody, we want to welcome you today. Of course, this is episode number 1010. We have reached double digits.
Double digits, baby.
Oh, my gosh. I'll tell you what a week trying to plan for this one. Getting everybody together. If everything goes well, I may even post this one as a video to YouTube.
Let's see. Video podcast.
Woo! We'll see. I don't know how that'll work.
It's fancy up in here.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be able to run for president after this podcast, am I?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
I killed those aspirations a long time ago.
Run for... Why would you want to do that?
Exactly.
I don't know. It sounds awful.
It does. It just... I don't know. For me, running for... I don't know. Let's see. If I would run for president... Yeah, that's not going to work.
Speaking of, I've been watching House of Cards because
don't you dare say anything.
Just came out.
If you spoil anything, I'm going to come back to boom.
I'm in the middle of the 2nd episode of the season, so it's pretty good so far. So
warn you.
Is it like a show that I would like to watch?
I think you might. I'm not sure. It's a lot of like talking back and forth. It's basically centered around dialogue. And it's just there's
trains.
No, but there's no character in the series that you can really grab onto to like because everyone is just such a deplorable person.
There's the barbecue shop owner. He's fine.
No, but he gets his pigs like from Slow Bleeder and all that stuff. So even him.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're right.
It's like there's no character that's good in this.
Welcome to Washington.
Yeah.
Well, I did finish the series Being Human US.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
If you like dramas about sci-fi things, it's cool.
Yeah. Firefly's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's a little less science fiction, more fantasy driven.
That's fine. Game of Thrones is awesome.
Well, gosh, we don't want to talk about that. Yeah. But no, it's centered around a werewolf, a vampire, and a ghost live in the same building, and drama just occurs from that. It is honestly
sounds like a sitcom.
It is a sitcom, I think.
Well, maybe more drama than sitcom. It's got a few funny moments, but it ended well. I think it was one of the shows that it's only 4 seasons long, so
gotcha.
You can binge watch that in a weekend. That's all. Netflix has. Where we grew up. When I grew up, the big problem was like binge eating and binge drinking. In our society, it's binge watching.
Problems, I feel like.
We just do it simultaneously with binge Netflix.
Yeah, we're binging on Netflix.
I actually have a carton of ice cream in my lap right now, just in case.
Well, at least we're not podcasting naked. That's good.
No, not yet. Stay tuned.
Is that a t-shirt?
It's an introduction to the next episode.
I'm out of town.
I hope this is a video. I feel like some of the jokes I'm doing are not going to land if it's not a video.
Well, hey, we'll just say this. We're trying a few methods. I'm trying some new software and stuff today. Just because if we get some people on, I don't know how it's going to look. But I just like capturing expressions and some of the stuff going on. If for nothing else, just for my personal amusement later,
Yeah. so you can blackmail us later.
Pretty much. Oh, Jack's running for president.
Let's screenshot this.
What do I want to lobby for?
So I want to get Bibles back in schools, and
Who are we kidding? Jack's an atheist. He'll never be president.
that's yeah.
Oh, that's such a low blow. That goes against everything we believe here.
Well, no, Justin, you're not. It's true. It's really true.
Actually, it's really sad because think about it. Like, we're still like so entrenched in like Christianity, and so it's hard to imagine like a ardent atheist being elected president in our country.
Oh yeah, or even just somebody who says they like, or somebody who just doesn't say they go to church.
Yeah,
like every president we've ever had is just like, I go to church.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't.
Just to have one that's like, I don't really go to church, he'd be like, you're not elected.
Right.
Yeah, I feel that because on him is politics, is marketing yourself to the largest population out there. And, and I got a question for you. Do you think Obama would have won if he didn't take a Christian stance during his elections? Would he?
No.
Do you
not
think
a chance.
You think he would have been not elected if he would have said, I just don't care either way,
Not a chance in hell. No way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Isn't that a shame?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I'm a Christian, and I think we should come away from that because I believe this way. And I don't believe that I believe where like Christianity or religion in and of itself can help, I guess, in a sense, maybe some morality that, if you have that background, it's not a detriment to you or, and it's not an encouraging factor at the same time, but at least, we should be able to elect people based on their merits for running a country, not based off.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind a real, honest to God Christian, but most of these guys aren't Christian anyways. I'm sorry. I'll just throw that curveball
Oh no, they
out
lie.
there.
All of them like.
Yeah. Let me just throw that out there. It's not a curveball, people. That's a fastball right down the middle. I'm not trying to beat around the bush. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Beating around the bush, huh? Which one?
The mulberry bush.
Oh, okay.
The mulberry bush.
Okay.
Beating around the mulberry.
Oh God. If we get a third Bush in office, Comedy Central is going to be super happy.
Oh, I'm
They're going
sure.
to be like the happiest people.
Especially if it's Jeb.
Yeah, I heard Jeb's running.
Jeb is running.
Yeah,
Jeb is running. And you know what? I honestly think that's probably going to be your next president.
It's a we have now a monarchy, apparently. It's fine.
All right, let's not get political. So, guys, how was your week? You know what? Hey, we do have some good news. Our friend Jack did take a very important test yesterday. Jack, would you like to talk to us about it?
The GRE is what I took, and I did well.
Nice.
But now I feel drained emotionally and intellectually and just, I don't know, physically.
Yeah.
Because that test is a vampire that steals everything from me.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh, it's not fun. I can't, sugarcoat it. It's just terrible.
What the hell are you laughing at, Keith?
I'm sorry. I can't even compose myself right now.
I missed it.
Yeah. Also, they give you noise canceling headphones, but I don't think they change them out ever or wash them.
Oh no!
So
so you have an
kind
ear
of have to
fungus?
use them, but
Got a bit of an ear fungus over there. No, I was going to say, Jack, break down the acronym GRE for us for those of us who aren't smart enough to know what that is. But you went, I'm emotionally, physically drained, and it's a vampire. And I'm like, I don't know what clicked in me, but I just wanted to laugh at it. So, but anyways, GRE, please explain.
it's the graduate record exam. It's essentially graduate school SAT.
Okay.
Keith?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like the SAT, but 5 times more expensive, twice as long, and about half as fun.
Yeah. I was going to make my nominal Christian joke too, that the reason you are sitting here fully revived is because of all the prayers from your Christian friends.
Hey, I felt them when I was in the room. I wish you had been like, here are the answers to 12 through 15. But no, it was just like, good luck.
It was more like it was more like a prayer that was petting and stroking your back, saying, "It's okay, it'll be okay. Have peace, have peace." Oh my gosh, somebody's going to shoot me. Anyways, outside of that, everybody's week. How are we doing this week? Any relatable stuff we would like to talk about today?
Snowpocalypse.
No,
yeah,
no.
I mean, I haven't had my Tuesday, Thursday class for over 2 weeks.
Yep.
Is that because of the snow?
It's been canceled every day, or every Tuesday, Thursday. It's like
Snowpocalypse.
we have a day of snow, then it gets warmer, and then it comes back, and then it's just like every other day. It snows so much.
Yeah.
Hey, we got dusted this week.
Nice. Impressive.
Dusted.
Well, yeah, for at the beach, that's a pretty big
major
deal.
occurrence.
I had. I'll say this. We I think we talked a little bit on Thursday, but I had to drive to Wilmington to pick up my sister-in-law from the airport, and every actual bridge going over water to the airport was closed.
Yeah.
Really?
The one bridge that wasn't closed, and it was iced. Everything was iced here. All our bridges were iced over, except for the ones they were actually smart enough to salt, but wouldn't let us go over anyways. Don't get that one. But there was a SUV who had went up. It was like an on-ramp to a bridge, but it was iced up.
Yeah.
And there was an SUV who was turned in the wrong direction, who had hit the billboard off the road and landed itself on the guardrail, split, like balancing on the guardrail. It was amazing. I'm like, that took total driver intelligence to get right there, or just pure luck.
So, by happenstance, I actually have a story that relates to that.
Oh, great.
I used to work at a pizza place, and like kind of around the corner in the parking lot, they had like these little mounds of dirt, and on top of them, they had those like giant stone balls from like Walmart and Target and all that jazz that prevent people from like running into the building with their car. So one day, a customer comes in. He's like, "Guys, you need to go outside and look at this." So me and my manager looked at each other. My manager went outside, came back about 10 minutes later. Was like, "Jack, you need to look at this." So I was like, "All right." Went outside. It was bright, sunny day in the summer, and an old lady had managed to park her car on top of it perfectly. Wow. I don't know. To this day, I'm not sure how she did it, because it's like there's no ramp. There's nothing she could like hit to bounce herself up.
Do that?
I don't know. I think she must like hit a fence or something and like threw her. But her car was just horizontal on top of a giant. No, it was horizontal. It was stable. It wasn't even moving. I don't know how she did that.
The only problem is she can't get out because she would destabilize the car.
I don't know how they got the car down. I think they just like must have gotten 2 tow trucks or a crane or something, just picked it up and moved it back. Because the car was fine. It wasn't like wrecked or anything. It was perfectly intact. It was just perched on top of it.
Telekinesis.
Levitation.
Yeah, I'm not messing with that old lady. Magical
Supernatural
powers.
exists. Checkmate, atheist.
No!
We just proved everything with that one car.
I concede. I'm done. I'm a Christian now. You got me.
Or a Satanist one. We don't know.
That is true. I could be a well. No, atheists are already Satanists. That's just coming on. That's a thing. There's some.
Oh my gosh. I saw in I think it was Best Buy or somewhere I was walking around. It may have been Radio Shack or somewhere I was walking around looking for an electronics part, and I was looking at like all the GoPro cameras and stuff. They actually have a camera now that's built for your car. Like in Korea, they have things called black boxes in the cars, and it's a built-in camera system to every car, and it's always recording where there's movement going on, and it's one of those streaming looping cameras. And I saw that they have them in the United States. You can actually buy them for your car now. I was actually thinking, man, I want to buy one of these and put it in my truck that I drive at work.
Yeah.
So I could just have stories upon stories to tell, because the stuff that I see on the road every day, whoa. Like the video I introduced y'all to y'all this morning with the Russian camera.
No, but like it's a big thing in Russia to have those like dashboard cams.
It's almost
that's a huge thing.
I think almost a lot of places almost outside of the United States and the entire world is going to that. It's because it's smart. You want to reduce the number of problems you have with who to blame.
Yeah.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
And the reason I know about the Korean side of it is because all I do is watch. Well, not all I do, but I watch a lot of Korean dramas with my wife, and they always
nice.
like in the hardest things that it is to solve, they say the black box. and they find the car with the black box, and they solve the problem because they had the footage on that camera. Because every car's recording when something moves. It just clicks on when something starts moving, and it's there. I'm like, hey, mission solved.
Oh God, that's kind of great. That's hilarious.
I'm just thinking that everything Seinfeld built in his sitcom is being slowly destroyed by technology.
Oh no, I mean it's pretty much all destroyed. Like, pretty much if Seinfeld were to take place today with cell phones, everything, like the whole premise of the show,
everything's gone.
Everything's gone,
and it wouldn't be funny.
Yeah.
What? Well, you still have a soup Nazi.
Forever and a day. No soup for you.
No soup for you.
No soup for you.
The greatest. They actually had places. They actually
that was based on a real guy.
Yeah, and they used to have a chain of that in the Grand Strand Mall or the Coastal Grand Mall.
Really?
At one point, yeah, with the soups and everything, the soup Nazi head guy. Yeah, there was a place in the mall that had that, and it's not there anymore. But
what
it was
they called it.
I can't remember. It was something like.
I know it wasn't soup.
As long as they didn't call it soup Nazi.
No, it wasn't soup. I think it was actually. I think it was actually. Yeah, but I think it was actually the name, whatever the name was on the show, the actual name of the soup place. Yeah. Of course, I can't remember, but that was the name of the
soup kitchen.
Yeah, something like that. But that was it, and they had the recipes and stuff, or not the recipes, but the soups that were served in that restaurant. So it was interesting, anyways.
Nice. Huh.
But yeah, we had it was a cold week. To a sense here as well. I mean, I know it's not as cold as in Boone, guys. I'm sorry, but
that's fine.
It's
we're used to it.
Yeah.
We chose this for ourselves.
Yeah, and I told Justin last week you chose your own hell.
Yeah.
If that's even possible, it's not. I'm a Christian. I don't believe that way. We talked about hell. So I think we got a lot to talk about today. So we can just skip the formalities. We're not. I may pull up something off the wall here later, but I think for now we just want to talk about since it's episode 10.
Yep.
We've been discussing this week. We're 10 episodes in. I think we've kind of conversated about who we are at Forgetting Walls and really what's our purpose. I know we have made a lot of statements against Christians, against atheists, agnostic, Muslims. We made pointed statements to everybody in a sense of how we treat each other. We've probably made more statements to the Christian populace because that's who we are, because we see things just not going the way it should be. But I don't know if we've really spoken outside maybe the first couple episodes to what maybe our overall goal is. To really understand why we do what we say, the things that we put on the podcast, the things we will eventually write about, the videos we'll eventually put up. We really want to be pointed in those things.
Yeah.
I know the last time Jack was on, we definitely started out the podcast with saying, this is not a Christian podcast. And we're not making a joke about it. I mean, we're definitely being serious. Justin and I, who are absolutely the co-founders of this institution we call Forgetting Walls, we are Christians at heart, and we totally believe what we believe. And we're not on here trying to find out what we believe or seek a truth that's going to change our beliefs. We're here because we feel like that what's been going on in our worldview with people who claim to believe like us, we feel it's been done wrong, and we want to change. We don't want to change the overall worldview, but we want to change the perspective of how other people see other people. That's why we talk about people are not projects.
Yeah.
And when we bring other people on, such as who Jack is, who doesn't believe the way we do, it's not about having him on so we can debate a topic or a philosophy. It's not about having him on so, he can convert other people to his way or we're trying to convert him to our way. What we're showing is we're trying to be an example of who Jesus was. And I know that's weird maybe for Jack, but he's on here because I think he agrees, maybe not with our worldview, but he agrees with our perspective of how we see people.
Sure, yeah.
And I know I may say a lot of things that may overstep my bounds, but the conversation we're going to have today is going to jump all over the place. We're not really focusing in on one goal. What we're here to do today is to really focus in on the fact that we all come in with different worldviews, different beliefs, different perspectives. Even Justin, Andy, and I, and ourselves, we believe differently in certain doctrinal Christian things. I mean, which is fine, because at the end of the day, it doesn't change how we love each other. Right. Which, yes, we're 4 dudes on a podcast, and I say I love these guys. Because that's
since we have visual here, man.
Oh my god! It's not the way it looked, really.
Good old shoulder tap.
we are pretty young. This is kind of incriminating. Just saying.
But we're
That too.
all that. But we're just going to ask some questions, and a lot of these questions are going to come from a Christian perspective and worldview because, well, that's what I am. And hopefully, with Jack being on, he can ask some questions back to us to do the same thing. Because I think once we understand who we are as people, we can start to learn how to treat each other like people. You know, and that was one of my things I probably want to start off with is we talked about, like, and I'm just going to throw two names out, and we've
right.
thrown these names out before, and some people like the names and some people don't like the names on either side, but guys like, you know, Ken Ham and guys like Richard Dawkins, you know, they have a very pointed stance, and they're very convicted in what they believe and how they believe, to a point where they want to, I feel like, since I'm in peace to Leonard Nimoy, who died this week. Going to throw a Star Trek reference out.
Oh, wait a minute. Peace. Sorry.
You gotta get the other two fingers.
there we go.
My pinky doesn't work. Like
I can only do it with my left hand.
West Side.
Yes.
Oh god,
Justin's struggling over there.
he's struggling so hard.
For everybody who can't see us, we were all trying to make the Spock.
It's so hard to do with my
Live
right
long and
hand.
prosper.
Yeah, there it is. Live long and prosper. So I'm not a
Yeah.
big Star Trek fan, but anyways. But to make the reference to Star Trek, to be like the Borg, you know, because they want to assimilate everybody into that society that they're in. I don't feel that, number one, for me, I don't think a society can be assimilated into one belief system. I just don't think it's possible for human beings. I mean, even from a Christian point of view, even the Bible states that not everybody's going to be under the same garb, under the same belief system. I mean, you know, Jesus points it out. There's going to be this people on this side, and there's going to be people on this side. We're always going to have it. Even within our own faction of Christianity, we're going to see it. Mm-hmm. So we're not here to assimilate people like, I believe, like Ken Ham's stance is to make everybody to believe this way. And then Richard Dawkins is going to...
6,000 years old.
Yeah, and wherever you stand on that, that's fine. I don't have no problems with it. But you can believe what you want to believe. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me, because it's not going to change who I am as a person. I'm not smart enough to care. But then with Richard Dawkins on his side, making his points of views and wanting to say you need to just get rid of religion altogether. It's harmful. It's just going to break every system down. Yada yada yada. Whatever. But for us here, that's not our point of view. That's not our reasoning. I love to convert and see people believe like me, because that's how I feel. But that's not, at the end of the day, for me. It's more along the lines of it's about relationship. I believe human beings are built to have relationship. And that's what we want to show. We want to show that we can be very different, but we can still live with each other without trying to assimilate each other for the sole purpose to assimilate for no reason.
Right.
And I think it's kind of interesting. One of the weirdest things about atheism, and might cause a slight disagreement, but one of the weirdest things about atheism is that it isn't intrinsically a belief system.
Yeah.
Like, I think what Dawkins is trying to do is convert everybody to his forms of his method to like eliminate religion. Like getting like all religion. If all religion disappeared, there'd still be many people with different belief systems.
Yeah.
But like he's just trying to push that forward instead of believing like it'll happen in time or something like that. He's like, I'm going to exterminate it, and that's kind of odd.
Right.
I feel like it's his personal vendetta. It's his goal in life to...
He doesn't like it for some reason.
Yeah, and I can understand it. I mean, I know a lot of people who don't like Christianity or any religious system because they've encountered something that has traumatically happened to them that they can't explain, and they just say, well, you know, there is no God because this is this, or it's just because they couldn't find any real tangible value to it. I get that, and I understand what you're saying about atheists. It's not actually a belief system, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that I have to put faith in still to make sense of things. So, I mean, that's the only reason I say what I say.
No, absolutely. I just want to get that out of the way because like that's just a common thing that like people don't understand, that atheism isn't an intrinsic belief system. Like, they're generally like humanism's associated with atheism tends to be. But like atheism in and of itself is not mean anything.
Oh, and I agree. If you're truly, and this is what I believe. I mean, it's just what I believe. But I believe that at the heart of atheism, it is just there. And this is what I have a problem with some atheists is that it's not a belief system. It is literally just being not anti-God or disproving. It's just living your life as a human being for what you see day to day and what you read and what you can physically. That's fine with me. I'm fine with that. Yeah. It's just when some atheists, quote unquote atheists, take the stance that they take it further than being just that. So I understand what you're saying. But hey, at the end of the day, still, it doesn't matter to me how you go about it. If you're just a hateful, angry person, there's why I have the issue with.
Absolutely. Oh, I think everybody has. I understand why the Dawkins people happened at first, and this is a conversation I had with my club at App. I'm the president of the secular club at Appalachian, and this is like a conversation I've had with them. It seemed kind of necessary at first when you have like that huge, overwhelming religious presence. You need some sort of pushback to gain some sort of ground for like atheism to develop, or really it's just secular folk to have a place in society.
Yeah, to try to get your voice heard, at least.
Which is, you need those firebrands for it, but after that's kind of been established, like it's no longer such a taboo thing to like, depending on how far south you go, it's not such a taboo thing to be an atheist anymore. And that kind of like eliminates the need for the Dawkins type or the Hitchens type. But I
understand. Well, and just throwing that out there, I guess we said all that to say that we're just here to have conversations with each other.
Yeah.
I want to get to know, in today's society, I believe that where we've grown to, because there's this disparity or this gap or this contention between like atheist agnostic Jack and Christian Keith, that where we're at in today's society, we feel the need that we have to separate those communities, that we can't be in the same room, that we can't have conversations, though we may have differing beliefs, but we can't have conversations and be around each other, which for me and my belief system as a Christian, that's anti everything I actually believe.
Yeah.
So that's where I saw the need that we needed to do something different. So that's the goal. If let's just say by some wild, crazy, supernatural chance, Jack says one day, you know what? I believe. I believe just like you. In which, hey, it's not out of the possibility.
We're still working on it.
We hope you'll do it. We hope you'll do it on the podcast.
Yeah, we would love that. Would be so great.
I just look up. There's a light shining down on me. I'm like, guys, I think I'm converting.
but I mean, at the heart of who we are, that's what a lot of our belief system goes. But to have a conversation, to do those things, and to know that that's who we are, that's who we're supposed to be as Christians. Right. We not that we accept, the very nasty things in society, but we accept people as people, because I believe that's and for me, when I read the Bible, that's what I see Jesus doing. I see him accepting people as people. I mean, he said, you can believe or don't believe. You can, this is what I'm giving to you, whether it's, he was having good conversations. He was talking to people, it was crazy. But I think we, as a society, have created these big gaps between everybody. It's,
we've made everything personal.
Yeah.
So our feelings get hurt when we're rejected.
Because I'm sure at times there could have been people on our podcast and the things that we have talked about with Jack, they could have taken it personally and said, you know what, I'm not having this, I'm out. I mean, not everybody is as fun as Jack.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't know.
So, and Jack, like I said before we started the podcast, I'm going to ask questions to you. Because, and the reason I'm going to ask these questions to you, and everybody can, of course, chime in with how they feel, but that's what I want. Today is not about, what philosophy would say or what And we talked about the logical fallacies or the logical fallacies and things of arguments and debates. It's just, how do you feel about this? What do you think about this? And if it comes into that realm because that's where you come from, that's fine. But because I think human interaction should be on a human level at some point, because I think some people and don't follow me on this. I think some people are so intelligent and so smart that's a part of their pride issue, and they always want to have the upper hand in a conversation because they want to sound smarter and be better, that they can't come down to a level where they just interact with other people on that level. And honestly, dude, when people are getting to that level, like, I'm honestly going to tell you, we was having a nice conversation on Thursday night, and y'all started getting all into your philosophy, guys, and I was just sitting there like,
Bueller.
You have used that friggin' soundbite every podcast.
It is my favorite soundbite.
Yeah, it's been the last.
Well, guess what?
It's gonna stay.
And I'm gonna find me more from Ben Stein, because Ben Stein is absolutely my favorite actor who's not an actor.
Really? There's so many wrestlers you could have chosen from. Like, and then you go with a Ben Stein?
Well, but come on, man. Come on. It just resonates with me. It just resonates with me.
Arnold's not really an actor either.
Well, that's true.
Awesome.
That's true. But
when he moved here, he could barely speak English, and then he was in Hercules. And that was great.
You're right. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger took it to a whole new level. I mean, even to being governor of a state. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that he can't even pronounce. I'm
the governator. So, anyways,
so good.
So we'll ask questions. We're going to ask some questions. Hopefully, Jack will ask us some questions back that we can handle. But I want to start with this question, and Jack, this is really a Christian question. I just want because this is something that I want our guys to deal with. It's something that'll resonate, I think, inside the Christian community, looking outside, not just at people who are on the outside of the walls, but inside the walls as well. And if you want to chime in with it, because it's kind of a God-related question, you can. But I had to ask this question because I've been talking about it with a couple people. So the question that I wanted to ask was, when we talk about sin, like a person's sin that is designated biblically, all right, do you think God cares as much about the sin that's being done in people's lives today, more or less than how Christians look at it? Do you think it's that Christians put more emphasis on it than God really does?
That's a good question.
In the new covenant, and I'm talking in a new covenant stance where we stand today.
Sure.
And if you hear if you hear dead silence, is that because there are great minds thinking?
No, I think I actually have a pretty good answer to this. So, if I were to believe in a God, I don't think I could believe in the concept of hell. And so, kind of an extension of that, I don't think that God would really put as much of an emphasis on sin. But I'm a really optimistic person. Like, I am super, super, super optimistic. I'm like, I'm trying to think of how optimistic I am. Like, any of you guys have seen the 1950 movie Harvey, about a guy who sees an invisible 6-foot-tall rabbit?
Yeah.
I try to be. I model my optimism. I try to be as optimistic as the main character in that movie. And great movie. Everybody should see it. It's from 1950. But a guy sees an invisible 6-foot-tall rabbit.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to sin. So because of that, I'm of the opinion that humans are generally good. And in my worldview and in what I believe, which is another long explanation, but in what I believe, I don't really believe in the concept of evil within people. And I believe that people are really generally good. And so as a result, I think that since people are striving so hard to be good in the face of and if I were to believe in the original sin and all that jazz, because people are striving to be so good in face of that sin, I think that God would recognize that and not judge harshly for the sins that are committed still. Okay. Just because they're kind of hard to avoid, the ones that are set up.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Especially when Jesus kind of extends them to be like, sin is no longer just cheating on your spouse, but it's cheating in the mind or in the heart.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Because honestly, everybody has I probably should have picked a different one to start with, but I probably should have picked jealousy. But like everybody has those. That would have probably been more PC, but that's fine.
No,
everybody has like lust-filled thoughts even when they're with somebody. I mean, that's just something that happens as part of kind of who we are as humans, and like. But that doesn't mean we're going to act on them. We try hard not to act on them as a society. I hope as individuals. I don't know. I don't know you guys. I know just, but I don't know what you're up to in your free time. But I'm going to assume it's not that. I don't know why I'm just rambling right now. But so in that regard, I'd say that like I don't think God would be harsh on sin or care as much as a lot of Christians seem to do. But I think the important thing is like I don't think it's necessarily bad that Christians tend to care that much about it. Because even if God cares less, it's mostly because of how hard they're trying and how much emphasis they put on it.
Right.
Yeah, I think that kind of adequately. Does that adequately answer the question?
Well, I guess, and I think the way you came across with it, like if you was to believe in God and how you would believe in God from where you're sitting at now, I think, any Christian right now, and let me make a side note right now. With what you said, I think most Christians would have like stopped to debate you on the things you said. I mean, honestly, because what a lot of the stuff that you said are debatable points in Christianity at least. But what I wanted to hear was your point of view from what you thought, not the fact that I want to debate you. So, side note. Completed saying that, hey, we can just have conversations without debates. But anyways, but no,
I will fully admit that if I were Christian, I'd have a weird version of Christianity that I don't even know if it'd still be considered Christian.
Right.
Like if I were to believe in a deity, I don't think it'd be recognized as Christianity.
Right.
Just because of like how I believe and how I interpret things, and I have like I run into the problem of evil and all that jazz. But like.
I think the Holy Spirit would take care of that anyway, so don't worry about it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, and that's my point. All I got to get you is to the door. Holy Spirit to take care of the rest, right? Hey. But you. I think from your point of view, you answered the question. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think that. I mean, not where I would have gone with it. But I think, but it runs along the same kind of line. I think. So, anybody else want to chime in on this too?
Yeah, I'm kind of going to go in the opposite direction just for the sake of it.
Go for it.
But I
thought we were having a conversation about what we really believed.
I mean, this is pretty much what I think. At least I think this is what I think. But because I kind of have the opposite view, where you see people as intrinsically good. Mm-hmm. I think I can speak for Keith as well, and probably Andy, that I think that people are intrinsically bad. That that we're from birth, that we keep doing bad things, and left to our own devices that we would self-destruct, and that we would ultimately do things that are not quote unquote good, that we're intrinsically terrible. Bad's not even a really great word. We're really terrible people. And so I think because your question, Keith, was really interesting. Does God care as much about sin as Christians do today? Mm-hmm. And I would say he cares more about sin. And this is coming from a purely theological, stance, But he cares so much about sin because, he sent himself to die in place of that.
Right.
Sin. And to bring us to him, because sin is separation from God, from himself. Right. And so he sent himself to reconcile. So I think he cares even more about sin than we do today. I think we trivialize sin to behavior.
Right.
And that's a huge thing, I think, for a lot of Christians today, is that sin is just behavior. Like, okay, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't get tattoos, you don't sleep with, your girlfriend outside of marriage, and we narrow it down to these behaviors that we can see, whereas sin runs much deeper through that. But it's
Let me throw a curveball in there too for you while you're doing that. But so when you said, all right, so he cares so much about sin that he sent himself, because sin separates us from him.
Yeah.
So do you think God cares more about the relationship, or is it about the sin itself? You see what I'm saying? Because I think where you're going with is more how I believe, but I word it differently. You know what I'm saying? Because I think, and maybe it's just all in the semantics of what we're discussing.
I think it's definitely more about the relationship. Because I was translating Genesis the other day, And
As one does.
I know.
Yeah.
Hebrew Sky.
That's what I'm doing on my spare time.
No, I was doing it for class. But so I was and like in creation, it's a very intimate picture of God's relationship to man, and then you see in the fall that sin separates that, and it only grows throughout the narrative of Genesis, and whether you take that literally or metaphorically or whatever, but I think it's definitely more about the relationship, that it's God reconciling us to Him through Himself.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is weird, I admit.
And Andy, you want to chime in on that before
I just wanted to say that the fact that Christ came to earth and died on the cross, that was the ultimate act of sacrifice, obviously. And in terms of God, an all-powerful creator, to do that, to make the decision to do that on our behalf, to forgive us of our sin, is just, I guess it's just, I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I guess the power of that sacrifice, that God would do that, humble Himself to come down, says more about a loving relationship with His creation than it does if He were more concerned with sin, as we're saying. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But then again, I'm a Christian, so it can make sense to me. How about you there, Jack?
I probably could have condensed that. I didn't do a very good job. But anyway.
And the reason I asked this question was because I think the emphasis that Christians, let me rephrase that, the people who reside in these church walls put so much of an emphasis on the sin, and where you went with it, the behavior, the actions of a person that relate maybe to what the Bible maybe speaks towards what sin is, has been placed at a higher level than the relationship itself. Because when I look at from my point of view is that I think God does care about sin, but I don't think He places the emphasis on the actions of sin as He does the importance of relationship. And that's the part where I think if Christians could see that, let me say this, okay? We believe as Christians Jesus is God, all right? Yes. That's what we believe. So Jesus sat down with a Samaritan woman at a well, okay?
Okay.
In of itself, everything that He was doing was sinful to their customs and beliefs, right? The actions, the nature of sitting with this foreign Assyrian, half Jewish woman, Samaritan, who was a woman at that, and then was speaking to her at that, and then on top of all that, she was basically sleeping with anybody, had a few husbands, right? All that stuff. No other person at that time would have sat and talked with her because they would have judged her based on her lifestyle and all those things. Maybe if they didn't know it up front, but once they found out, they wouldn't have sat down with her anyways. Okay? So did He place more emphasis on her sin at that moment, or to have that relationship would do to speak to her? Because I think what Christians do, we put so much emphasis on the sin that we won't even sit down and have conversations with people. We won't be in the same room with a person. I think that's, and maybe I phrased the question a little covertly, just kind of hiding the maybe the main point behind it, but just to get the point of, how do we really look at people, and how does in our belief system as Christians, how does God really look at people? Right. From what we see from the Bible, and speaking more to, like I said, toward a new covenant worldview. Right. So, and Jack, I want to throw one thing out at you, and you may find some philosophy, logical, and fallacy. I'm going to use that the whole podcast, but when I think about people being intrinsically good, inherently good, and just at the heart, I think about children. I'm a parent, and I look at a child. Yeah, I look at a child, and I've always said this: if at the heart of every human being we're good, why do we have to work so hard to teach them to be good? Because I honestly believe if my parents would have left me and didn't give me any moral compass, and my parents weren't Christians, okay, so I come from a non-Christian household. My parents had to teach me some type of moral compass, and I don't know where that came from, just out of the fact of them, knowing that this is bad and that's wrong. Somebody had to teach them wrong and right. they were teaching me wrong and right. Because left up to my own devices, even up until I was of an age that I could be accountable for my own actions outside of Christianity, everything I wanted to do was bad. I mean, everything. And maybe that's just because I was born an evil person in of itself, but there was never a point in my life where I wanted to do anything good. And I was just want to say, you know, and I'm maybe we're going in a different direction real quick, but I just wanted to throw that out. I mean, what do you think about when somebody says that?
So there are two general responses I have. One is kind of like my in-depth personal philosophy, which I don't mind at all talking about, but that's just kind of a long conversation.
Right.
And the other, I'd ask you a question. If morality is taught, or if like you need a parental figure to teach you how to not be evil, then how would we get morality in the first place? In the sense of, if we're not born with morality, how did anybody ever become moral and then teach that to other people?
That's why I'm a Christian. But my response is, that's my response. The morality that we had came from this God that created us. He was the one who created us, and like you said, you don't believe it, you don't follow the original sin and all those things. I think up front, you know, that He created that human being. I don't know how it works. I don't know how any of it works, and it's just it boggles my mind to the point of trying to explain it logically. But the only way I can find a moral compass is it came from the fact that I recognized who He was, and this is what He laid out for us to do. These are the things you shouldn't be doing, because this is the morality. This is your morality. These things. You shouldn't be doing these things, but you're going to do these things. That's why I'm here to change you, because me in you makes you good. And at the end of the day, I'm still not good, because I still at the back of my mind have thoughts. I'm like, why do I have that thought? And then I come to the place of, okay, here's this God who I absolutely believes in me, who is changing me. Because honestly, today, who I am and who I was 15, 16, 17 years ago are complete opposite. And it wasn't because, you know, I wanted to be that way. It's because I chose to believe in Him who changed me to be that way. And it was Him who works through me. The self-control I have is not, and it's weird to say this, is not my own self-control. Right. It's because when I try to do things on my own, like when I'm trying to do them myself, control these things, control these natures, control these habits, control these thoughts, I still end up falling into those areas of whatever you want to call it. You know, those areas I don't want to be in. But then and of course, this is because anybody who's listening who's not Christian will be like, you're kind of crazy. But when I think about real self-control, that came through Galatians 5, when he talks about the fruit of the Spirit. Paul talks about fruit of the Spirit, and he says, you know, one of the fruit of the Spirit is self-control, which I think is the utmost important part of the fruit that we can have, because without the Holy Spirit, I can't have any type of self-control to keep myself from those things. So for me, the way I see it is that all my morality, the morality that I have, the notions to be quote unquote good, came from the basis of this God, which is, you know, traditionally passed down, which we can attribute it, for anybody can attribute it to any other God or any other thing. So that's the only way I can explain it.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, that we're made in the image of God, the Imago Dei, and that when God breathed life into us, that we have sort of an imprint of morality, that we have this idea, because I think that what is good and what is true, and this is probably some Platonic ideas influencing, but it flows from the nature of who God is, and since we're made in His image, that we have some sense of morality, but we are, you know, tainted, and like we, you know, our nature, you know, our sin, you know, original sin with that whole concept, that it kind of leads us away from that. So,
what would you guys respond with if I told you something along the lines of, so that explains a lot of static morality and a lot of beginning it, but like, we seem to be getting better as a species over time. Like, our rates of violence decrease, our quality of life increases, the amount of caring we give to other people around us, the way we treat people around us, like equality between races. Although there's no real such thing as race, but perceived races. And the equality between genders and all that jazz. Like, that's been on the increase. Like, on all metrics, people have seemed to be getting better.
Right.
So what would the explanation for that be in a Christian world, or where people were inherently bad?
Okay. And
public service announcements.
No, and I'm gonna be dead serious about this. Okay.
Frying pan, don't do drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Super effective.
Yeah, I think I think if we could provide some type of metric to when the change started, and this is, because you asked me as a Christian, okay? As a Christian, if I could provide some type of metric when the increase started, it would be the ministry.
I can do that, actually. It started essentially since people started systematic agriculture and recording what they did.
Right.
Like, people have actually, like, looked back at that and, like, look at historical documents where they've recorded some of the instances of violence, and they've been able to, like, one author, his name is Steven Pinker,
right?
Wrote a book called The Better Angels of Our Human Nature, where he just, like, outlines why this happened.
Right.
Really good book, if anybody wants to read it. It's, like, 900 pages of
I don't have time for that.
Dryness. Like, get it on audiobook because it's interesting to listen to.
Oh, okay. I can do that then. Audible.com.
It'd be tough. Yeah. It's just kind of tough to read just because it's really dry. But when it's being read by him, it's brilliant. And he just kind of goes and outlines, like, since the dawn of civilization, people have been getting better morally. So, like, since 2000 BC to now, people have just been improving on all fronts, which I think is just kind of fascinating.
And I would say, if from my point of view, I think the point that things started to change, and this is going to sound so self-centered and arrogant, but it's really not, because I really believe this. I believe that the things that started to change was around Jesus' ministry. So I would think around the turn of when everything kind of switched over as far as the calendar goes, right at, 25 AD on. I mean, seriously. Because what I saw in that culture at that time, if from my point of view and my belief system, in that culture at that time, females were treated bad, children were treated. I mean, everything that Jesus did was countercultural. So, bridging the race, or like we say, the perceived races, bridging those gaps, because the way he talked to others, the way he looked at other people who weren't Jewish, the way he treated women, the way he treated children. From that point on, the compassionate nature of yes, Christians who came out of that early church who said, okay, we're going to treat women differently. We're going to look at children differently, because in Rome, what was it? It was all the Romans who were throwing their children away. They were putting them in garbage. The Christians formed these orphanages and started pulling them out of trash and things like that. I'd have to find I don't have that right in front of me what happened, but I was listening to who was that guy I was listening to? Philip Yancey I think was talking about it at one point. He was talking about through his book Vanishing Grace, how they were where people just threw children away because they didn't care about children. If they weren't right, if they were mentally retarded, physically disabled, things like that. They were seeing no sanctity in that life, and it wasn't worth keeping. Or if the child wasn't, what they wanted.
It might have been Sparta.
Yeah, and Sparta
did that.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if they did that so much in Rome, but they definitely did that in Sparta.
But through Christian camps, there were orphanages started. I just think, for me, and I'm not saying because Christianity is the ultimate compassionate religion, but I just see that where a lot of people talk about feminism in today's time, how Christians are chauvinistic. Honestly, Jesus wasn't chauvinistic, because who actually?
Neither was Paul. Paul was awesome.
Yeah.
He did the Paul and Thecla entire story.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
So for everything that's placed on on Christianity itself today being this, and this, it's so anti what really came out of what we see in the Bible and what came out of the first and second century churches. Mm-hmm. So it's different. So when we go back to that, like we're talking about morality being on the increase, where honestly the violence gotten less, because I think at those times the statistics of violence revolved around a lot of wars and the amount of deaths. But I think morality in of itself, if we look at morality as strictly how we see it today, I think it's actually getting worse.
Well, I mean, it's not just like, so it's not just wartime violence, but things like sexual assault has been decreasing. In fact, our war crimes have also been decreasing.
Yeah.
Like how we treat prisoners has been improving. And not only that, but like how we deal with other perceived races has been improving. Like feminism is even improving since then. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
I have an interesting, like there's one of my favorite case studies is China between, and Justin, you're going to have to help me out. I want to say it's like 1910 to 1970 where religion was outlawed.
Yeah.
Was it around there? It was like mid 1900s.
Yeah, around that time.
So basically, the dictator of China was just banned religion. So an entire generation of people grew up without religion,
right?
And they were still, and that's just kind of really interesting to look at because that's never happened before. Like that's just an entire generation of people just are not religious. And now even in modern day China, they do a lot of ritualistic stuff. But even people who go to like the temples aren't really religious. They do it kind of out of ceremony and out of tradition,
right?
Yeah.
And very few people in China are religious nowadays. And it's just kind of interesting to watch that because even without the influence of religion, they also still started to improve morally as a culture and as society. Like they started outlawing practices like foot binding. They started to have increased rights between women and men. They started to become less xenophobic and less racist. And it's just kind of interesting to take a look at that because one, it's just historically unprecedented. It's really cool in that regard. But what would you think about that? Because that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
and I'd just be curious to know what you think about it in general because it's just kind of cool.
And I'll pinpoint a little bit with what Justin was saying about, and of course this still goes back to I still have I guess a Christian religious belief behind the system in of itself, but being that I believe that God imprinted Himself into every human being, that there's that compassion built into us, but it's something that doesn't show through as a child. It's something that kind of builds. I don't know if I ever had real compassion for people until I was a Christian. I mean, I did have some sort of compassion, but I kind of learned that from my parent. That's just continually passed down. So I really don't know how I see that system. I mean, if this is what I'm saying, if all of our religious systems are false, and the only way we can come to a true, humanist, compassionist society where everybody can love each other, we don't have any differences, all the crime rates come down, we have true equality through the system. If it's banning all religions, then why hasn't that really gone through the entire world? I mean, is that something that can or can't happen? I mean, I don't know how I really respond to that, though.
It kind of is. I mean, like, the secularism is increasing at, like, an unprecedented rate.
Yeah, especially in the Western world.
Yeah. Yeah, we are gung-ho about it. And I think, like, there aren't many religions that are really expanding their influence. I think Mormonism is pretty much the big one, and then Islam's growing a bit. Christianity's staying about the same, I think. If I got the demographics right. But that's kind of like it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that because it seems like something is happening among the secularists. Like it seems there is a huge spike in secularism now.
Right.
One of the best examples, like in England, to be elected to prime minister, you can't talk about church.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
they'll just like laugh at you. It's just something that's not like you can be
same
Christian.
in France.
Well,
yeah. You can be Christian all you want, but like you don't bring it into politics at all. And that's such a weird concept considering like this is England and France, which were like the hubs of Christianity for a very long time.
I think it goes
several denominations.
I think that's just a cycle that is repeating itself everywhere, and eventually I think that's the same thing is going to happen in America at some point.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully.
No. Well, in
a lot of regards.
Well, but see, and that's the thing, though. And this is where I come from. See, where, and a lot of people don't agree with me on this stance, and some people do. But it's the fact that I believe that's what has to happen. That's what I believe in the system of Christianity, in the prophetic words that were given. These things, we have to come to a worse place before all is said and done. And honestly, that's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that secularism is worse. I'm just saying that Christianity itself will see itself continually rooted out of the mainstream of everything to come to a place where it's no longer a mainstream fad, but it's back to the real nature of what it was in the beginning.
It was a rebellion against the common thought of the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Christianity has become everything it wasn't. Yeah. For me, hey, Jesus said few and the many. He didn't say everybody. And that's for me from where I get a compassionate heart. Now that's hard for me to accept, but it's not because he's choosing to push all them away. It's because they choose to push. You choose what you believe.
Sure.
And of course that's negating the Reformed theology to a bit, maybe. Saying I choose not to come there. because if it's irresistible grace, baby. But then again, it's not also.
How long did it take us to get to a Calvinist joke? I just want to time that. We need to keep a timer and just all right, on this podcast, we did really well. It only took us 7 minutes to get to a Calvinist joke. And then, let me check my watch. Oh, yep, that was 19 minutes for the Calvinist joke. Right.
Actually, it's 1 hour today.
All right, not bad.
Yeah. Oh, man, time flies fast.
It does. But I mean, I see what you're saying, and man, we went in a totally different direction.
But yeah, and I mean, honestly, I just want to get your opinions on the China thing's just weird to me. And I haven't figured out what it means.
It's an anomaly to me, though. I mean, that's exactly what it is. But maybe it, and Andy will get me on this one, but maybe it's there for a reason for us to see that that's what's going to happen. And I think at the end of the day, too, for me, what I believe about Jesus and God, and I don't know my eschatological beliefs at this moment, and exactly pre this, that, post this, all those things. I know for me, at some day, it's going to come to this point where everything is gone, and then God has His full reign, Armageddon, whatever you want to call it. But to that point, there's things that has to happen. I mean, as a Christian, there are things that must happen that lead up to the end, because prophecies have to be fulfilled. Words that were spoken have to come to fruition. So
falling away of the faith.
Yeah, and I see all these things as just the stepping stone to the end.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And whatever that end looks like, we'll find out whenever, because I'm not big on trying to foresee the future.
Well, not like you could stop it even if you did.
Right, and if I believe the way I believe, then those things are going to happen no matter what I do. So when people say, exactly. So if secularism comes into this place where, America looks like England, looks like France, and I believe it's happening because if you follow the culture, everything that was happening in England probably 50, 60 years ago is starting to happen in America, just with more technology.
Even the haircuts. Look at Justin. That's an old English. That's a Prohibition era haircut.
No, you're right. No, but you're right though. It's I see the culture of Christianity where it started in Jerusalem, and then it went out into Judea and Samaria, and then it went out into the ends of the earth where it started in Rome, and then it's moved through Italy, and it's moved through Spain, and it's moved through France, and it's moved through England. If you follow that cultural pattern, everything that has happened had happened before wherever Christianity has walked its path, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where you saw the early Roman Church, where all the rules they were making, the way Christians were coming after everybody else, is really just started to happen in the past 50 years in America. I mean, you see the pattern, and then only what's left is the truest of true. I think for me, for myself, you start weeding out all, and when the real things, when Christianity starts getting rooted out into real areas, you start seeing the people who really believe in it. I mean, that are not diehard fanatic extremists, but the people who believe at its core of who Jesus really was. His true love, his true compassion, his true nature to have real relationship that, in our sense, that true relationship with Him that removes the stain of evil that is placed on our lives through what the original sin was. And that's the point, because I think true Christians at their heart want to have real relationship with people, not this assimilated attitude to put your butt in a seat and give me tithe money.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my point of view on it.
Yeah.
China's anomaly. I think honestly, from my point of view, to see that happen is kind of cool. It's weird and cool at the same time.
Oh no, it's fat. No matter who you are, it's just the weirdest phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's a generation of people who grew up without any religion whatsoever. It's so bizarre.
It is totally amazing. And to show that, and I don't even know if I want to say that, but to show that that God works, from my point of view, God works in the strangest of ways to bring people to places that, to show humanity real things,
Aren't the mission fields in China? I mean, are there a lot of people converting to Christianity in China?
Well, it's the underground church there is it's not as reported as everybody thinks. So I think sometimes the numbers are drummed up, but I think sometimes the numbers are drummed down too. Because I know people. I mean, I've talked to people who have been in China. I mean, like they've been into China in the past few years.
Yeah.
and they say it's crazy what's going on over there. I mean, it's not publicized. It's not media related. It's one thing that you only hear from personal testimonies, which, however you chalk up a personal testimony, whether it's over exaggerated or under exaggerated, But it's something that's absolutely happening there. There is a growth.
Yeah.
There is a large growth of the Christian population there. But I think
but culturally, China doesn't really like Christianity.
No.
I think, Justin, you can back me up. Like they really are kind of opposed to like bringing Christianity at all. Like it is there.
No, it is.
There are churches and people are free to worship Christ and all that jazz. But like just as a culture, they don't really they don't really like it. Like it's not something that they accept wide scale in any sort of sense.
Well, no, as a billion Chinese are presented, or how many ever are over there right now, as a culture, you're right. But the underground movement, because it is a state churched place. It's not, you say freedom of worship, but I think it's more of a state-run church place.
Right.
They don't really have any sort of state-run churches, I don't think. They have the temples, which is just run by the traditionalist Chinese monks and such. But like, I don't think the state really cares about religion anymore. I could be absolutely wrong about that. I'm not an expert. But,
well, I'm just going to say, and this is only if the person was lying. Okay, if this person was lying, then what we know that's coming out for, and this is what I'm saying. I'm a media conspiracy theorist, so anything that the American media produces is BS to me. Honestly, I can't get behind most of it. Where some of it may be true, but a lot of it for me is I'm a conspiracy theorist when it comes to that. But
they did a study on American media, and like none of the major news companies were able to get over 25% accuracy. I think Fox News was like at 18.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it's ridiculous at what we call journalism today. That's just what it is. But if this person, and not just this person, but 3 different testimonies said the same thing. The state, the government itself, does not like Christianity because Christianity itself goes against communism in and of itself.
Well, yeah, and it's associated with like Western imperialism.
Right.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like they really hate Western imperialism. They kind of shut themselves off for like 200 years because of that.
So, and they're saying that the place where real Christianity is going on, not these churches out in the public where it can be, monitored and watched, but these places underground, these house churches. The house churches are being raided. People are being torn off to prison. It's and it's not happening as mainstream, but there's just little areas where it's that like a whole village is becoming, because there's a lot of rural area. I mean, when we think of China, you think of Beijing and Hong Kong and places like that, which Hong Kong,
it's huge,
but it's so big and so massive. But it's just in little places where there's these strongholds happening where I think they feel that it could be a governmental threat. You know what I'm saying? It's something that could threaten their government, which I don't see in it of itself.
So the reason they have underground churches is because that's kind of what they had throughout the prohibition of religion. Like they had those secret. It's like how we still have some. What are they called during Prohibition era of the bars? Speakeasies. It's like how we still have some speakeasies and like back rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's a really similar thing for them. They have. And it's just kind of leftover, and that's where people worship, because like a lot of these rural communities don't have enough money or buildings to like make a church, so they're just like, we already had this back room and we only have 12 people in the village, we might as well just keep it. And so like that's why those are so dominant. But I haven't heard anything about the government like shutting them down
and
with, like,
you know what,
that kind of aggressive force.
And you know what, it could be just local governments. It might not be the national government of itself, but it may be local government. But it's still, and it just goes to the fact that there are persecutions going on towards the Christian church. But hey, and don't get me wrong, I'm not just speaking towards Christians. I can't remember. I wished I could remember the country that this was happening, but there was a place where the Buddhists, who we think are so peaceful, have this concentration camp of Muslims. And
India, maybe?
I don't know if it's India. I don't know if it's India or Sri Lanka, but it's in that general, and that's not just the general vicinity. It's a large area. But down in the
subcontinent,
and I don't think it's Sri Lanka, because I think Sri Lanka is a very Muslim heavy place. But
no, I understand.
But what it is that anybody who's Muslim, it's like this little village that's fenced in, and there's no doctoral care. There's no. I mean, they treat these people pretty much like slaves, and they're Buddhist. and they're doing this. And if I could find, I gotta find this article, or it's in one of my books I was reading. But
there's persecution everywhere. Every group of people is persecuted.
Right,
it's really awful.
Yeah, there's persecution that goes across the board, and that's our point here. I don't want anybody to be persecuted because that's just horrible.
Yeah, I found the article in Time.
Yeah, you did.
So, yeah.
Okay, because thank you, Justin. That's our researcher.
Yeah,
I'm too far away from the keyboard on my computer to research. I've got to handle more things like, hey, Jack, I really am.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
You've been waiting to do that, haven't you?
All episode.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Mightiness is in the house.
From Spaceballs? I'm waiting for that.
Oh, that'll believe me, that will happen at some point.
Oh.
Which I was told that I promoted Spaceballs way too much on the last episode.
That was funny. Yeah, I did catch that. You did say it like 37 times.
I did. All right, so let me ask this question. We spend a lot of time not debating, but talking about that. But
this is interesting.
Let me talk about this because I want to get your response on this and how you react to people, okay? Because you don't believe in a God, okay? Yeah. And you believe way differently than we do. So
I'm an optimist.
There you go.
I'm outrageously optimistic. Most optimists are here, and I'm just off the screen. It's great.
It's fun. It's actually fun. I enjoy it. Thanks, Justin, for introducing us to Jackie Boy. And Christians probably can answer this too because we have a weird sense of humor. But I want to talk about experiencing the supernatural, okay?
Sure.
Things that are absolutely unexplainable. Things that we can't explain. So when you're talking with a Christian, and let's say we're talking in this public room, and I give you an experience that I had, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's very supernatural. I say supernatural
absolutely.
because it's outside the realm of what natural reasoning can explain. Okay,
absolutely.
I'm not going to attest to God or anything else, but it's just something crazy. All right.
No, absolutely. I can follow that.
All right. And I give you, and I'm going to give you an example of when I was in Haiti. Okay. Mm-hmm. We were there, and I was out there at this medical clinic, and I was preaching a message. Because that was one of my roles. I went just to kind of give a message, testimony stuff, and tell people about Jesus. That's what we were doing there. And some people laughed at me, which was fine. And some people seemed, to me, possessed because it was crazy. It was freaky the way I was treated by some people, which I can't attest one way or the other. But there was a large group of people who wanted to know more. They wanted to actually say, I believe what you're telling me. I have this... so we were all gathered around. There was about 30, women there, and we were all talking. And there's this one woman came up to me, and she's, I really believe in God. I've always believed in God since I first heard about Jesus. I'm a Christian, which this was all being translated to me, of course, because I can't speak Haitian Creole at all. But she was, she was saying that she wanted somebody who, and this is what's weird to me. She was having these issues for weeks now. This medical issue. And not that it couldn't be explained. They tried to explain it this, that, and the other way. But she couldn't sleep. She couldn't eat. Her stomach was knotted. You could physically feel the knots in this woman's stomach. She was just. Yeah. She was. They don't know what it was because they didn't. She didn't have the money to get the real test done. Of course, and we're talking about 3 hours up into the mountains of Haiti where there's nobody.
Right.
And she goes, I need healing from God. And I believe you're here today, basically to heal me. And I've never and understand. I'm a Southern Baptist ordained minister, so to speak. And not that I didn't believe in the Spirit and believe in healings and all those things, but I've never been a part of something like that to that degree. Okay. Sure. All right. So here's what happens. I'm like, okay, if she believes this, then God, I'm coming to you. I'm praying in my mind to God right now. God, I don't know if I can do this, but if this is going to happen, this is all you, God. This is all you. And for the next 15 minutes, I'm laying my hands on this woman, literally hands on her stomach and on her head, praying to God. Honestly, don't know the words I'm praying. I'm just praying. Heal this. Honestly, I couldn't even begin to. But I'm praying in English. My translator's praying, of course, in Haitian Creole for her. And she is praying at the same time. So all this is going, it sounds like a big mass chaos. But in the chaos of what this sounds like, there's so much peace, and I can't explain it to you. It's so hard to explain this to you saying, I really don't understand what was happening, but something was happening. Mm-hmm. And I'm as honest as I can be, and as real as I can remember this. I mean, I can remember it as I can touch it.
Yeah.
That this woman, whatever was going on, that she wasn't able to eat, not because she wasn't hungry, but she could not physically put anything down.
Yeah.
And her stomach became like normal under my hand as I was praying. Mm-hmm. Her attitude of pain, that persona of pain that was on her face and anguish was relinquished. And when I said amen, she looked at me and she was like, in her language to him, and her name, and this has been 2011, Imani Aramon was her name. I mean, that's how real it is to me. And she's like, I'm healed. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? I figure, you're going to need some medicine and you're going to have to get better. She's like, I'm done. I'm healed. And she went over to the table and grabbed a snack off the table and ate it. And she goes, I'm tired. I'm going to go home now. And the doctors, the people that were with us was like, hey, you've got, you need to be seen. She goes, no, I'm fine. And she walked home and I never saw her again.
Yeah.
And that's an experience that I had. I mean, that's a real life experience. It's not just some made up example. I mean, there were people there with me.
Yeah.
And this is my thing. Is it coincidence? When you and I'm not going to ask you what you think it is. What I want to ask you is how do you deal with situations like that in your mind? What do you do when you hear those things?
So it's kind of tough to say because it's a very personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those things where I can hear you describing it and I can hear your emotion, but whatever you experienced was 10 times whatever emotion you're conveying now because it's a personal experience. You were there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not at all that I don't believe you. I mean, I 100% do.
Yeah.
It's that, like, when you're dealing with stuff with your own personal life and your own personal beliefs, it's tough to use other people's personal testimony to support yourself.
Yeah.
I found.
Yeah.
And and I think that's something that you kind of have to be trained to do because most people would be absolutely swayed, like in the sense that it's really strong.
Yeah.
To hear something like that, to absolutely believe you, and then to it's a very strong, powerful, moving thing. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, I've just had to train myself over years to just over and over and over tell myself, it's not your personal experience, it's somebody else's, as valid as it may be.
Right.
I can't shape my life around your personal experiences because I'm not you.
Right. But, and I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. And I want to just throw a dart in there real quick. The reason I would tell you that was not to sway you to Christianity. That would be my first thing. Yeah.
But it is like a side effect. Like, that's still compelling, just by nature of it. And I absolutely understand. Oh, I don't feel like you're trying to compel me at all or trying to convert me at all. But like, it's just, it's such a powerful statement. But you just kind of have to say, it didn't happen to me over and over and over until you believe it. And it's. Mm-hmm. It is kind of work. Like, it is something just trying to keep yourself like intellectually honest and all that jazz.
Right. Now, and I'll ask this question at the same time too. Now, when I say that, do you in your mind as atheist agnostic, do you have to find some way to rationalize what happened in that sentence? It's so because you say I absolutely believe what you say is true, but how do you deal with that statement? I mean, how do you deal with that experience? Okay, it's not my experience. And it's not going to convert me or compel me to Christianity, but he did tell me that. And for some reason, I'm going to say, I believe what you say is true and you're not lying. Yeah. How do you rationalize what happens in that moment too, though?
So, I mean, there's several things. Like, there's obviously like the well, maybe she didn't completely get better. She was just there as the placebo effect or something like that.
Right.
But, I mean, it's also the idea that, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what happened, and I'm content at leaving it with that.
Okay.
Which is what I tend to do because I don't like the other way because then it's kind of like you get held up in and I think this happens to a lot of people. A lot of people try to like rationalize other people's personal experiences, and like for the same reason that I can't base my beliefs on your personal experience, I don't want to rationalize your personal experience because I wasn't there.
Okay.
And I feel like that's just something a lot of atheists and a lot of people in general do. Is just try to like say, well, that was just a medical anomaly. She got better on her own without the faith, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just kind of unfair for the same reason, like why I'm not letting, like I shouldn't let it convince me one way or the other.
No, I agree.
I also shouldn't like. I wasn't there. I don't know, and I think I should. You kind of have to be content with that. I feel like.
What do you
which
guys?
is kind of weird.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask the Christians to chime in too because I'm going to give you a pointed statement from another Christian I heard. So, what do y'all think?
Okay, I pretty much fall in the same camp as Jack, where
we agree.
Yeah, hey,
one step closer to my side.
Where I mean, I believe that it's possible, and I believe that like it's very well possible that that experience happened. And it is of a miraculous nature, which to my mind, because I come just where I come from, that's kind of harder for me to I think it is a very hard thing to believe just from a rational standpoint. But I kind of go along with Jack, like I wasn't there. I can't falsify or I can't one way or another try to either say that like, oh yeah, it definitely happened, that was God, and you better believe that was God, or I can't believe, on the other hand, like Jack was saying, I can't be, well, it was just, that she was stressed and then that prayer made her relaxed and made her, all that. So and that's very unfair to do as well. So again, kind of being content and, not knowing, but yeah, but hope, I do think it was God though.
Spoiler alert.
I think as someone who's had their own supernatural experiences, I relate because I've been through something similar with my own personal life.
Right.
And I think for anyone who has had anything in the spiritual realm happen to them, especially Christians, other Christians, it's easy for them to believe in that.
Yeah.
Because they've been a part of it. It's not something that's foreign to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's where I come from. I fall in that category, so.
Yeah. And I'll give you another Christian's point, or another, let me do the quote marks, Christian's point of view. They told me that that you're wrong. That wasn't a faith healing. Those things don't exist anymore. They come from the camp of cessation of the gifts.
Yeah.
So they're like, and I can go on. I could give you other examples why, but they're like that's just that doesn't happen, and we don't believe in that because that and that's their belief system. But what they did as a Christian was discredit my experience because of their belief was so one way, which I didn't tell them that to say, I want you to, I'm telling you what happened to me to share my life with you. And then you discredit me in that sense.
And that's so interesting, because do you think that would be a case of doctrine getting in the way of, like, a belief about God? Or
No, I absolutely
or
do.
Doctrine limiting God in a way?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Because this is where I come from. And Jackie, this maybe help explain more of me to you. Yeah. I believe that being a Christian is a miraculous thing. It's not something that can be done naturally. You don't, and this is where I'm coming from. So when miracles happen, I am easier to believe them today before I know Jesus. When I was a young Christian, when I first started in the little Southern Baptist church that supernaturally found Christ, I was indoctrinated to believe less about these miraculous charismatic things that happen. Because it was indoctrinated into me that, this is how God works. This is how we work in God. But as I grew away from that because of my experiences with Him, I believe now that I believe more miraculously than I do naturally, or supernaturally than I do naturally when it comes to Christianity.
Yeah.
because that's what plays in my mind, because that's what I know.
Right.
And that's what I think where we're talking about, like, you know, in differing with our religious beliefs or non-religious beliefs or however you work, that things that I know here today naturally sway me away from Christianity. Mm-hmm. But it's because of the supernatural things that bring me back to Christianity or bring me to God. Because there's nothing naturally that I think can actually sway me to Christ. Right. No matter what Ken Ham says. I mean, literally, no matter what he says naturally, you can't sway me that way.
It's more of a method to follow than it is something that's moved you spiritually to bring you to a place where you...
Right, and that's the only reason I asked you that question. I wanted to throw that out there because for me, if it wasn't for the supernatural things that has happened in my life or the weird things that has happened in my life, I would tend to probably believe less in Christ.
Yeah.
So and that was just one of those things I just
yeah. No, that's fascinating.
Wanted to throw right out there at you because I think that could be a good point of discussion for people. Yeah. I mean, and I just don't want people, and that's the thing, guys, girls, just hear me right now. We're not about trying. Like I said, I don't know how many times I can say this today. I'm not really wanting to convert you. I would love to see you know Jesus. I mean, yeah, at my heart, Christianity, faith. Jack's going to say, that's the point of intention for us. But I think that happens through us just loving each other to the core, and realness will be seen there. Because I believe, honestly, you can call me crazy, but I believe loving someone is supernatural to a human being. It's not to love a person truly, without agenda, without conditions or regulations or points. It's almost impossible to do that on your own. Because I can't do it. Honestly, I'm sitting here today because of what supernaturally has happened in my life. Right. I mean, I could use my marriage as an example. Before I was before I knew Jesus as my Savior, and I operated in of myself, everything was selfish. Nothing was really. I mean, I love my wife naturally because that's what I thought. But when we got married, I realized there's a lot of selfish agendas going on here for what I want from this relationship. I really didn't treat her like I was supposed to treat her. I didn't love her as much as I love myself. And people say, well, Jesus stole that line, love others like you love yourself, the golden rule. I don't give a crap I don't think he stole it, but if he did, then he stole the right one.
That is a good rule. Hey, even as an atheist, that's a great rule. Yeah, that's not a bad rule.
Go ahead.
I'd indent it by saying you should treat others better than you treat yourself.
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the role of being humble. You treat others above yourself. You give them that benefit, which we don't. I still don't. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible. That's why I love being in this circle that we're doing.
You're good.
No, I'm not.
Don't worry about it.
No, I'm not. Hey, let me tell you. Spend a day with me, and I tell people, if you really want to see true colors with somebody, spend a day with them where they don't know you're watching.
Yeah.
And you'll see it. I know I can attest that I shouldn't be angry with people the way I get angry with people. I shouldn't treat people the way I treat people. I shouldn't ignore. Hey, we're going back to the hotel.
We're going back to the hotel.
We'll have to talk about that one time on the podcast, Justin.
Oh yeah.
But so and Jack, dude, you don't know how much I appreciate you, and honestly,
I appreciate you guys too.
The more I'm around you, I feel like you're literally a part of my family because it's because you, number one, you come into this with more compassion than most people would. Come in you actually are showing a side of grace that most people coming from your point of view don't show. I'm being serious.
No, I agree with you.
And I just think that's just Justin rubbing off on you. But
rubbing off, or am I just stealing his grace? I don't really know. I'm just a vampire.
That's a supernatural reference. Stealing the grace. But
we should talk about that show at some point.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I have opinions on that show.
Oh no, I have the biggest supernatural fan in my house. My youngest daughter, There is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, she's stalker mentality.
She needs to watch Buffy then, because Buffy's a lot better.
Well,
Just saying.
we watched that too. We're pretty. I told you, man. Fantasy's my realm, man. But
Yeah.
but,
Oh man.
But it's just my thing is it's like, dude, this is my thing. We started on the podcast. We met. We talked. I'm like, wow. And we continue to have little conversations, maybe here, there, stuff, and then we're here again. And the more I'm around you, I feel the stronger our relationship grows. And this is what
Absolutely.
I want. Will Jack be a Christian at the end of the day? I don't know, but I really. God, maybe this is heretical what I'm getting ready to say, but I don't care if he converts at the end of the day. In my heart of hearts with Jesus, I want him to, because if what I believe is true, and I think Penn Jillette said it the best. If I and I'm serious, I mean
I love Penn. He's my man.
But he said it. If I believe what I believe and I don't try to proselytize at some point to you to present the gospel message to you, then I don't believe what I believe, and I actually hate you more than I love you.
Oh no, I agree with him on that. Like it's funny. Everybody's like makes fun of the street preachers, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, they're just doing what they think is right. They're trying to get the message out to so many people. Like they're really doing a better job than like a lot of Christians around campus who just. And it's kind of what we were talking about earlier with the China thing. Like a lot of the Christians on college don't really like go to church or care or think about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just kind of something that they grew up with, and they're like, I guess I'm Christian. Yeah.
No, exactly. And I want our message to be is like, yes, I want you to know Jesus. I would really love for you, but I'm going to give you that message. I'm going to say, do you understand what I'm talking about? And you're like, yeah, I get it, I understand. But that's my contention, to water it, to plant, but it's not my thing to grow it and to harvest it. You know?
Yeah.
Sure.
So here's our stance. You know, everybody knows we're Christian. We love Jesus. We want you to know Jesus. Here's the gospel message. If you need it explained, hey, we'll have a whole podcast explaining the gospel message. But you know what?
I have read it.
Well, yeah, but I think building this relationship gives more credibility to me as a human being, knowing that I'm not coming at you just because I want you to be a Christian, but because I want you to know that I love you for real.
Yeah.
And if you
You're
really
not using
see
me as a means to an ends.
right, and yeah,
As
exactly,
Kant would say.
yeah, exactly. But I truly love you whether you convert or not.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that, man. I really do.
And
that means a lot.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm so wrong that at the end of the day we just all shoved into the ground and we die and decay and there's no soul and there's no spirit. Hey, maybe that's what's going to happen.
As long as you're a good person.
Yeah, as long as you're a good person, because that means absolutely nothing at the end of the day if that's the end. But
What? We should talk about that. Then we get into fun stuff like existentialism and big words. It's great.
oh
I
yeah,
can get into that.
yeah,
Are we going to get into existentialism at some point, Justin? It's going to be fun.
Oh, we will.
we may try to touch on that at some point, but I just think that let me say this before we start to end the podcast, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Andy can smack me if he wants to.
I'm passive.
At the end of the day, if it wasn't for Jesus, I would much rather be bad and do bad things, because I think that's
Really?
more fun. Yep.
I don't think you would.
You'd be very surprised.
No.
I have a destructive, violent mentality.
I've heard some of the stories. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe just to give you a bit when we're off the podcast at some point, I'll talk. We'll have a little Skype conversation, and I'll go through my past, and you will be horrified.
I doubt it. I have my personal philosophy really, really, really good at. I know you don't believe me. My personal philosophy is really, really good with tackling the problem of evil and staying optimistic. It's like the entire crux of it is basically dealing with that one issue. So
I'm sure you would try to have you would try to give me benefit of the doubt, but
no. I mean, like, you can still do bad. Like, so here's the thing: when you don't have Christianity and you want to be an optimist, it's kind of difficult because people do terrible things. Like, there's genocides and there's murder and there's sexual assault and people do awful things, and that's really hard to deal with in like secular philosophy.
yeah.
But like the way my like entire worldview, my entire philosophy is essentially centered around dealing with that problem.
Uh-huh.
And I can get into it at a later date, but I think I can take it. If not, you might just disprove my philosophy, and then I have to go like, I don't know, nihilistic. I'd just be like, there is no purpose to life.
Yeah, and I'm afraid that I may do that to you. But I will tell you this, Jack. You are the happiest atheist agnostic I've ever met.
I try to be, man. I try to be.
That's good stuff. Man, we talked about a lot of stuff. I know me and Jack again.
Justin said things this podcast.
Yeah,
he was pretty good.
You did.
He was here.
You were.
Yeah.
Andy's been kind of sitting off in the background.
Yeah.
The supplemental package.
All right, so let me bring up this last point. We're wow.
Yeah.
I don't care how long we go today, as long as it's less than 2 hours. Okay.
How much time have we been going on for?
It's an hour. We're an hour and 35 minutes right now.
All right, cool.
I'm going to pose this. We talked about it, I think, before we started the podcast.
Okay.
But do you think one problem in what we're dealing with today in our society with religious belief systems, with how atheists are coming after Christians are going after atheists, and all these points of views, there was a comment made before we started podcast going, the probably the real problem is how Christianity was done in the past to how it's done in the present. Do you think that now I'm just saying legitimately, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just assimilating people into Christianity or people believing in Christianity be easier, but do you think a lot of the society issues we have today with religions, with separation church or state and all these things would look a lot differently if Christianity looked more first, second century than it does 21st century?
If Christianity changed, but people's progress changed, like if people were more accepting of homosexuality, but they conducted their church and their Christianity like first and second century, I think definitely. I mean, it was such a punk movement back in the day. Like it was
exactly. No, it was.
It was rebellious, and I think that's kind of what we need. And I think I generally just like rebellion, like the entire rebel mindset in general.
Well, and that's go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I just have a question. What are you defining as the first or second century church?
Yeah.
I guess
because from my perspective, I see it as not much has really changed. Because even in the first and second century, you had such disjointed beliefs, and you had all these people of different camps. Like you had Arminius over there, and you had Pelagius over here, and you had all these different belief systems.
Okay, let's get rid of the second century church. Let's talk about what spurred out of Jerusalem at the hands of Paul and Peter and John.
Okay.
Let's go. Yeah. Okay, I may have went too far.
Well, so I think even then, the big thing with that is, as a movement, it might have been splintered in what they believed.
Yeah.
But it was still an act of rebellion instead.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Instead of what it is now, which is an act of compliance.
Yeah, it's conform. It's make everybody the same, look the same, be the same. Where Paul was we're not. I don't want to change. This is my thing. Let's make it more specific. What we saw Paul do, and where he even had to correct Peter,
right,
in Galatians. I mean, to the point where I'm not trying to conform you into my image. I'm trying to make you in the image of what I believe God is, Jesus. Going right to the heart of Jesus. I want you to. If you imitate me, you're only imitating me because I'm imitating Christ. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? That mentality. And you remember we talked about earlier, if we looked at Jesus, who Jesus was, and that's what we imitated, I think what we have today as Christianity will look totally different.
Yeah.
Even to the point that some people will say I'm a liar. But I honestly think we don't do it the way it was done then.
Right.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think people would recognize that as Christianity?
No, they wouldn't. I think that's why people call, people who try to get to the heart of who Jesus was then, like we're trying to do, they say we're radical extremists who that don't belong in the church. That's what I believe. I believe there are people inside the church walls who want to see that happen, but they're afraid because it steps on the toes of a lot of doctrine and traditional values. And I know Justin. He's really becoming very reformed and in that side, but there's a lot.
Well, I'm also a weird mix of everything.
Well, so. I know you are, but I'm saying, but what I'm saying in that area, like Reformed theology and stuff, and with Calvinists, there's a lot of people who said that doesn't fit in what we think and what we believe. But and what I'm saying is what if we became, gosh, is this just such a crazy statement to say? What if we just And so many people have said it, and this is what I'm saying. This is not the first time it's been said, but it's never. I don't think it's actually. It's just being said, not being done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What if we just did exactly what Jesus did? And I know Andy said this morning, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? You know, that's
Flip
just
some tables. That's
Yeah.
what he would do.
Exactly. That's right.
But and I told him, I was like, the problem is that's such a lofty expectation to feel, to try to figure out what it is, and we're not going to be able to do it. That's why we're human. As from a Christian belief system, we're so human that it's so hard to attain to such a level of who He is as God. But striving for it's not wrong. Trying to be that way is not wrong. I mean, He did do it as a man from the standpoint of being man. So why can't we just see it like that? Why can't we do it like that? And I go back to the whatever you want to call it, the original sin, pride.
Yeah.
I want to be my own person. I want to be my own God. I want to do it my way and not His way. I want to do it this way because I'm looking out for number one.
Right.
I mean, however you want to see that.
There's no submission.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of debates and philosophical ideas that can go into all this, but I think for me, it's going back to the grassroots of what Jesus was really doing. And hey, flipping over a few tables is okay. That doesn't mean you don't love somebody. I think that shows more love.
I just love that scene in the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Just flipping over the tables, throwing chairs and desks around. Like, just that picture in my head is really, really fun.
That's a rebel move.
My first year, I was in a Christmas. It was either Christmas or Easter play. I don't know. I've been in a few. I love to act on the local level. But I've always played Jesus for some reason. I don't know why. I'm tall.
Middle Eastern, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I look like Jesus. I dap my face. No.
You look like what Americans think Middle Eastern looks like.
Exactly.
That's what
But I remember I did do that scene where I was like, I had to go through and flip the tables and throw coins everywhere and stuff. And, and when I did it, like the night that I did it the first time, I mean, there was like all these coins and stuff on the table. And I got angry. I mean, I got into an anger and I flipped it and coins, stuff went everywhere. And I yelled so loud in that moment, that line, that it distorted into the speakers. And we had a great sound system at this church. And it just I'm like, just everywhere, right? And then after the show, somebody goes, you didn't have to be so, like, we can't find half the coins that we had on the table. It's like everywhere. I was like, but in that moment, that's how angry I pictured Jesus.
Yeah.
He loved those people so much that he flipped some tables for real. And anyways.
Flip some tables. That's a great. I wonder if where that's the expression "flipped out" comes from.
Maybe.
I'm just saying. Jesus was the original person who flipped out.
Because he got upset. But we did talk about a good bit of stuff today. This is what I hope. I hope that in some way, somehow, I guess especially for me and Justin and Andy and Jack, that we've somehow, some way proved to a point that we can have some really sensitive discussions. And Jack coined this. I'm stealing this from Jack. Just doing what Christians do, right? Stealing other people's lines, right?
The golden rule.
Golden rule. But Jack kind of coined this the other day when we were talking. He's like, and I had mentioned something. He's like, and I was like, yeah, I like that. And I was like, what? And he's like, that we can sit around and talk about sensitive subjects, especially when it comes to religion and non-religious things, and not take it personally. And still, at the end of the day, have relationship here. This is community. This is community. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a mixed community or not, this is community. Mm-hmm. Justin looks like he wants to say something.
No, I'm just agreeing. Yeah.
No, he's sitting there, and I'm waiting. I was like,
"Oh no, you're fine." No, that we can come together. I mean, despite our differences of belief, and that we can talk. I mean, we've talked about a lot on this podcast. We've talked about sin, morality, all these different things.
We got deep.
And it has the potential to get so vitriolic and so fired up and all that. But we really, I think we did a pretty good job of keeping it like
not terrible.
Yeah. And this is what relationships are. I mean, we come together and talk about these things and are able to, be civil.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I've learned how to be a little bit more humble in my life, to the point where you know, I used to try to be very sensitive about the things I say and how I say things to people, not because I'm trying to protect them or not to offend them, but because I don't want to sound stupid.
Yeah.
You know, or very unintelligent. I've come to a point in my life where I just don't care anymore.
Right.
I mean, if I sound unintelligent, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think
earlier.
I think I do a pretty good job of sounding pretty retarded at times. Or I mean, I need to edit that out. I'm so sorry, people.
Not PC.
God.
Yeah, that's not PC. I'll have to go back and edit all this out. People will go, what happened right there?
That was old
closing
school, man.
spiel.
That was
Oh my
old school.
gosh. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and end the podcast today. Especially on that note. Let's just go around and everybody just give a final point. Let's do that. Let's just give me a final point to today's podcast and then I'll close it up. So whoever wants to start, go.
Justin, go.
Why me?
And now we got to rate it expert. We were doing so well. Nobody else swore the entire podcast.
Even Jack did good, and there's no
I didn't
Justin.
say anything.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Jack did so good. He's like, I'm so doing this, and then just all this is getting edited out. Don't worry.
I hope not. This was a good exchange. Oh, man.
I have kids who listen to this, like little children.
What? I mean, you just got to teach them not to use the language. Not that the language doesn't exist.
I know. Let's just go. I'm sorry, Justin. I just like making fun of you sometimes.
No, that's good.
Anybody?
I'll give Justin a bit more time.
Okay.
Right, so I was catching up to the podcast today, and I think my closing statement is not going to be about today's, but it's going to be the one 2 ago, and say, don't listen to the Christians. They're wrong about the dating thing. I'll prepare a statement later. We'll see how this goes. Don't worry, I'm working on something. We're good. I'm going to write like an essay or something. It's going to be great. So if you guys are an interreligion couple, don't worry. You're good. Trust me. I got this.
We will talk about this.
Okay. I'm going to write something. I'm going to write my thoughts down. It's going to be good.
Good. I want you to, and then we're going to post it.
Go for it, man.
Word.
Yeah. Final thing for me is that look out for people who don't not like look out for those people, but like look for people who disagree with you, and be able to have conversations and be okay with disagreeing with other people. Just like I disagree with Jack that I think we're right about the dating thing, but that we'll see where that goes. But it's really beneficial to seek out those who think differently than you and believe differently than you, and to be able to grow and understand what you believe as a person. And so and also stop talking about the freaking dress.
It's
Agreed.
Gold, the guy who made it said so. It's literally the guy who made it said so. Why is it still a discussion? It's an optical illusion.
I'm telling you, I'm editing everything out y'all just said about the dress.
It's important.
No, it's not.
Don't censor us.
What is this, Rome? And we're Christians?
Maybe. If I could figure out how to edit out all the squeaks from my chair, I'd be happy. I may need to get some WD-40 on this thing. Andy, any final closing remarks?
I think as Christians, when we're trying to not necessarily convert people, but witness to them, to offer them the way that we know, you have to have the mindset that, first of all, you can't take the rejection personally, and you have to be able to walk away in disagreement and just accept that. Other people have their own opinions, and at the end of the day, it's not up to us who is converted and who isn't. It's only up to us to be honest with what we know and what we've experienced.
Yeah, and closing the show this week is a little bit different than we usually do. Maybe more for time's sake today, but I think my last thoughts is, and Lord knows that was some great grammar right there, but this is my heart, people. The reason I asked Justin to come on board, the reason I asked, we asked Jack to come on and sit with us, the reason I have ever asked Andy to help out, this is my heart. I am a Christian. I do love Jesus, and I would, in my heart of hearts of who I am to what I believe, I would love to see everybody know Jesus, because what I believe in the end is what I believe in the end. But I despise the fact that people treat people with ugly intentions, and I want to be different. And I know the only way that I'll see other people change the way they treat people is I have to change first. So that's one of the reasons we're here. This is what I believe in, and I believe this because of my worldview and perspective. Right. So I'm not saying this to be comical, but I want us to get along. I want us to conversate and have differing beliefs. I want us to understand that the person that's sitting across from you is a person that deserves from us to be loved the way we want to be loved. Maybe we don't deserve in our Christian belief to be loved by God, if that's how you want to believe. But he did love us, and that's what I believe. But I think that as human beings, we deserve to have a relationship. We deserve to have community with each other. And we deserve to do that with each other, and we need to do that with each other. Not based on that we believe the same way, not based on that they're a Christian and I'm a Christian, but based on the fact that they are a human being who was born unto this planet to live a life of, I don't know what the purpose is, but to live a life. And if you can't get along with that, if your issue is you can't get along with somebody because they believe differently, then if you're a Christian, you need to reevaluate yourself. And from my point of view right now, as we're closing this show, and I'm sorry, but if you can't love someone else, how are you expected to be loved?
Yeah.
So, signing off for Andy, Justin, and Jack today, I'm Keith.
I'm Justin.
That's right.
I just took it from you. I know.
I'm Jack.
Jack is Jack.
Thank you, Keith.
Sometimes.
Andy's Andy.
That's right.
Guys, hey, appreciate it. Thank y'all for the show today.
Yeah, love and peace.
Hey, always remember, go visit us. Share your story with us. We're sharing ours. Share yours. Visit us at forgettingwalls.com, and always remember one thing. People are not projects. They're people just like you and me. So love them like you love yourself. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Forgetting Walls podcast. If you're subscribing to us on iTunes, leave us a rating to help us spread the word about this podcast. Remember, the only way this works is if you share your story. So be sure to visit the website and leave us a comment at forgettingwalls.com, or find us on Twitter at forgettingwalls and facebook.com/forgettingwalls.
Peace!
Oh, man.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.